Hello everybody, welcome back to Simple Art for Adults. My name is Erin, and today, in case you can't already tell what we're going to be doing, I have paint everywhere. And so that's what we're going to do today. We are going to have fun with paint for our Sunday Funday color and chat. For those of you who do not recognize this beautiful book I have in front of me, this is Romantic Country. It's the first tale, and I've gotten a little bit of a start on it. I've got my Soho Urban Artist pencils over here, and I have down here in the grass, this is Kohinoor Mondeluz Aquarelle watercolor pencils, and I've done a little bit with the moon. So this is going to be a nighttime sky. Now, it took me some time. I really thought about this for quite a while, and I got to looking at it and I'm like, I can't decide what to do. I could technically use the watercolor pencils because I do have dark blue ones and I have black ones, but it's going to take ages and it's going to look like it's been watercolored, and I don't know if I want the watercolor look, especially when I have these colors down here. So what I did, and I haven't done this but once, so we're going to see how it works. I've pulled out some of my acrylic paints that I have, and these we use for a number of things. I have a black, English navy, and Admiral blue. These are 50 cents at Walmart, apple barrel, matte acrylic quick drying paint. If you choose to use these in your coloring books, you do need to make sure that they are matte. If you want to put colored pencil over the top of them, if you use a gloss paint and try to put colored pencil over the top of it, it's not going to work very well at all. Matter of fact, it won't work. So I always go for matte because it gives me more of an ability to blend. And I do use acrylic paint from time to time. I generally just don't put it in my coloring books. So I'm a little bit nervous. Just a little bit nervous. So I have already my paint palette. I have my colors in here. I have from darkest to lightest. So there's the black, the Admiral blue, and then I forget what this is. No, black, English navy, and Admiral blue. They're all lined up in there. So those are ready to go. In here I have the paintbrushes that I'm going to use. I always use like clean water. I always have clean water when I'm painting. And these paintbrushes, two of them are like some seriously cheapo paintbrushes I picked up at Joann Crafts. The black one's a little more spendy. I think I paid about $3 for it. But you know, unfortunately new paintbrushes aren't in the budget right now. I do need to get some at some point. You'll notice that I have three different types here. I have a big flat brush that I'm going to use to paint the biggest parts of it. I have a small flat brush that I'm going to use to get like really close to the details. And then I have a round brush that that's pretty fine that I'm going to use to get into the little nooks and crannies. So you don't water down your acrylic paint when you put acrylic paint on your paint books. You can if you want to do something like just like a light wash. You can certainly water it down, but you're going to want to be careful because the more water you add, the harder it's going to be on your coloring book, and you may end up eating through the paper, and you don't want all that. So what I do is I dry my paintbrushes, and the only reason I put them in water is because if you get them wet, and then when you put them in the acrylic paint, it doesn't tend to soak down in here as much, and it makes your brushes easier to clean. So I'm zoomed in so you guys can see what I'm doing. I'm going to have my paint like over here beside me. You may not be able to see that as well. When you're going to paint, make sure that you have a sheet of paper behind your work to catch anything, because it will go down over it and it'll get onto your other pages, and I'm sure you don't want that to happen. So we're going to put this over here because I'm going to start on this corner. So for today's Sunday Funday chat, I don't know. I really haven't had a whole lot of interesting stuff happen to me recently. So I don't really have a whole lot to talk about. My 15-year-old daughter, she's learning how to drive, so I've been taking her out driving recently, which has been an experience. I don't know if any of you guys have taught your children how to drive yet, but man, my nerves, let me tell you. Because I'm a nervous driver anyway. Like I'm a crazy nervous driver. So it makes me even more nervous to be a passenger, especially with, you know, my inexperienced 15-year-old teenage child behind the wheel. But I'm alive. She did pretty decent. She drove from here to her school and back this afternoon, and she drove up to the convenience store. She wanted to get candy, so she drove up there. And then we had to take the highway back, so I took over at that point because it was the highway. So, yeah. I may have gotten too thick of a brush. And these silly cheap brushes, the bristles fall out all the time. And it's like, it makes me wonder, it's like, how in the world does Joanne Crafts even get away with selling these brushes? Like, look, can you see that? How the bristles are like coming out of it? That's crazy. It's terrible. How do they do that? There is a channel on YouTube called Coloring Frances. And she's a young girl in the UK. And she did this very page in this exact same way. She did it with black and blue acrylic paints. And she painted them on. And then went back and added her stars. So I'm going to give her credit for this. Because this was inspired by her. Guys, I got to get these. Look, it's just getting worse. What on earth? All right, let's clean that off and see if we can't. So this was inspired by her. This whole thing. So what she did, and mine's probably not going to look anywhere near as good because my brush is terrible. But what she did was, she put her black in spots on the image. Which is what I'm also trying to do. If my brushes will cooperate. And now I have bristles stuck to my page. Sigh. Someday I will invest in better brushes. I swear I will. It's just not going to be today, obviously. But this has just made it very, very apparent. Look. And I just pulled them all out. And look, there they go again. Guys, don't buy your brushes at Joanne Crafts. Whatever you do. Just don't do it. Don't do it. It's bad. It's all bad. Let's see if I have a different one I can use, maybe. I don't think any of my other ones are going to do any better. I have this one. It's got a different type of bristle, but these will probably just break. Yep. I don't know if you can see that, but when I flick it, the bristles are like breaking. They're a little stiffer though, so maybe not quite as many will fall out. So this is all the black I want to put over here. So I'm going to turn it upside down. Because like I said, I'm working with really limited space. So I got to be careful. It just dawned on me that I didn't soak this brush in water. So all the paint's going to go like all up in the bristles. But that's okay because I'm probably just going to throw this brush away when I'm done anyway. There we go. I'm going to get my paper back there because I forgot to put it back there, which could have been very bad. So I'm going to do the whole top of this one black. And then part of the way down the side. Now, when I watched Frances do her page, she got out a ruler and did around this. What I think I want to do actually is a little bit different. I think I'm going to do mine, if it fits. We'll see. See if it fits. It does. It does fit. So I'm going to use the, sorry about my head there, guys. I'm going to use the lid to my ball jar here as a stencil. I'm going to draw a circle around the chapter title here. And then that will tell me where to not put my paint. Alright, so this is the same brand of brush as these other ones, but I'm hoping that because it's small, maybe it won't give me quite as much grief. This is the part that makes me really nervous because my hands shake sometimes. So getting around the details is nerve-wracking for me. Now don't worry if you do go into something that you didn't mean to a little bit, because like I said earlier, because this is matte paint, you can go over it with colored pencil, so you can always just draw your little, you know, whatever you accidentally paint over, you can just draw it back in by hand. So it's really not the end of the world if you do go where you didn't intend to just a little bit. There we go. This looks kind of wet and bad right now, and I do realize that, but once it dries, it's going to look nice and matte, so it'll look a lot nicer than it does right now, I promise. And the pages are also going to wrinkle, but that should straighten itself out once the paper dries. Like I said, I've done this in books with thinner paper, and I haven't had an issue once it was dry, so we're just going to assume that the same is going to happen for this paper. I've never put acrylic paint in this book before, so we are experimenting. Gonna leave some room for some blue over there. I'm gonna do this whole corner, like from here up in black. So what have you guys been working on in your coloring adventures? I know that's like, you guys hear that probably with every single YouTube video you watch, but I'll ask mine a little differently. What kind of mediums have you guys been using? Have you been deviating from the normal colored pencils, markers, gel pens, and trying any paints or anything in your coloring adventures? Or are you sticking to the tried and true methods? Or what have you guys been trying out lately? This is something I generally don't do very often, so I figured that you know, I've been brave lately. I've been watching a lot of Dee Dee Willingham, and she's kind of empowering. I watch her do things and make them look so easy. And I'm like, I can do that. Until I actually try to do that. And then I realize, man, she is just something else. Dee Dee is so stinking talented. And she makes it look just like crazy easy. My brush is not wanting to cooperate with me. It won't get. I'm trying to get as close as I possibly can. There we go. That's a little better. And like I'm planning to go around this with like a colored pencil to kind of make it look like it's glowing. So if I do leave like a little bit of white space, it's okay, because I'm going to color over it anyway. So it's no big deal. It's no big deal. Okay. So now we just need a little bit more black here. So I'm going to put like another like little bit right here. My bristles are being a pain again. They're leaving little lines everywhere. So we are going to hope that when I finish and go over this with the blue, it's going to like at least halfway turn out, because now I'm scared because these brushes are terrible. Okay. That one I need to soak because I am going to use it for the big blue splotches. I find a flat brush for this part to be the easiest because it gives you like a really clean line, and the smaller the one the better. So like what I do is get as close to my edge as I possibly can with my bigger brush, or as close to it as I feel safe getting, and then come in with my flat brush to push the paint like right up to that line. And if you absolutely had to, once you have this in, you could always go in with like a Sharpie and define it if you have a steady enough hand. I actually do better with paint than with Sharpie when it comes to things like this. So, alright, so that's all the black that I want. And I'll show you the other side now. Because it has mostly dried. There are bristles stuck in my paint. So this one has mostly dried now. And if you've never used acrylic paint in a coloring book before, something that you're going to notice is that when it's dry and you rub your hand over it, it's going to feel almost like you gessoed your paper, because it's really, really rough. So it gives you like this really excellent texture to put your colored pencil medium over. And I believe, I'm not sure if like a gel pen will work on it. I do think that like I know for a fact that the paint pens work, but I personally am not a fan of paint pens, so I don't use them. But wherever I would normally use one, I can just use a white colored pencil. And the white Prismacolor pencil is going to be our friend. Yes, it is. These brushes, I'm trying to clean this thing, and it's because I didn't soak it in water first. So it is a disaster. With my cloth here that I keep to do things like this, what I'll do when I'm finished is, while it's still wet, I'll take it in the kitchen and soak it in the sink in soapy water, just like Dawn. It's like water and Dawn, and just let it soak. And you're not supposed to do that with the wooden handled things, but I don't really care because I'm going to throw this stupid thing away anyway. I am going to look into better paintbrushes. Like, you can tell I don't do this much anyway, so I've just never really thought about buying better paintbrushes. Alright, so now we're going to go in with the other blue here. If I can get my bristles to straighten out, sort of. We're going to go in with our medium blue, or the darkest of the two blues that I have. And we're going to put it right here with the black. And you may find that depending on the color and the brand of your paint, you may need more than one coat. And if you do, that's okay. Now Americana, which is the brand of paint, or not Americana, Apple Barrel, which is the brand of paint that I'm using, on the back of the bottle, it recommends that you wait an hour between coats. When you're painting it on paper like this, guys, you can see when it's dry, and you just want it to be dry. When you can touch it and it no longer rubs off on your fingers, it's dry enough to add another coat. Really, it is, I promise. The goal here is to try to blend it somewhat with the black so it doesn't look like patchwork sky. And like I did with like before, I'm going to get in here as close as I can. Great. Stupid bristles. Oh, I want to curse so much right now, but I can't, so I'm not. I want to say like really nasty, dirty words to these brushes and make obscene gestures at them. Anybody at home feel like making an obscene gesture at my brushes for me? That would be great. I'd appreciate it. Okay, so there's that. Now I am going to take my smaller flat brush, My dog is back here. Like, he's having an itch fit, so I don't know if he's got allergies or something going on. So if you hear thumping, that's my dog scratching himself because he's crybaby today. He's especially needy today. And you may even hear crickets, guys, because here in southern Indiana where I live, it is absolutely stinking beautiful. It's like 65 degrees outside right now, and it is just amazing. So my window, which is right beside me, if you saw my tour, my window is open. I'm loving the fresh air, which is a good thing because acrylic paint kind of stinks. I do believe I'm going to have to come back in here later and give this another coat because I don't think this is going to cover it very well. And that's fine. I don't mind to do that. It's just that this paint is a little bit more translucent than the black. The black covered real well. This is not doing such a great job. But the good news is that since I'm going to add another coat, I don't have to worry so much about my brush strokes showing. I can just put the paint on there this time and call it a day. And we'll worry about the brush strokes the second time around. Again, I'm going to try to get it mixed into that black there so it looks like it belongs. And I know that it's shiny because of my light. But when this dries, you guys will be able to see it a whole lot better. See the effect that I'm after with it. Mine's probably not going to look anywhere near as good as Francis's did, because I don't ever use acrylic paint on anything except for the happiness rocks. You guys do happiness rocks where you live? I know that my audience, that all my viewers, that you guys come, like, you're a wide range of ages. I've got guys, I've got girls, I've got young women, I've got older women, I've got, you know, a little bit of everybody. I've got moms, I've got grandmas, I've got a couple of teenagers even who watch. And I'm kind of curious if you guys do in your towns, or here it's a county thing, it's called Happiness Rocks. Basically what we do is we go out in, we live real close to a river, to like a major river, the Ohio River, so it's easy for us, but we go find rocks, like, I don't know, limestone rocks here mostly, or, you know, just off the river bed, and we take them home, and we paint them with acrylic paint mostly. So we'll paint the rocks, and we'll put like happy messages on there, like breathe, or, you know, smile, or be happy, or something. And then we'll go hide them in places around town for people to find. And then people, when they find them, they take pictures and they share it. They share the pictures of the rocks they found on a Facebook group for it. And then these people can choose to either keep the rocks and like start a collection with them. And then some people do take pictures of their collections and share them. Or they take them home and they will repaint them and they'll rehide them. Or they'll just rehide them the way they found them. They'll take a picture first and then note where they found it. And then they'll turn around and rehide it like immediately somewhere else in town. So if you guys don't have this kind of thing going on in your hometowns, let me suggest that you give it a try. Because it is really, it's something else. And it really makes people's day. When you go in these Facebook groups and you see these people smiling with the rocks that they found, and somebody found one with an angel on it and said it meant a lot to her because her dog had recently gone to heaven, and so she was really happy to find the rock with the angel on it because it felt like it was meant to be, and it just made her day. So it's a really cool thing, and I'm glad that our town does it. So. Alright, I'm getting to the edge of my paper again, so let's see if this is dry. Gotta be careful with this, guys, because if it's not dry, it'll get on the other side of your paper. That's not dry yet, so we'll flip it this way. Everything else is dry except that. if the acrylic makes your paper wrinkle, from what I've seen, what you want to do is just kind of let it dry like overnight, or you know, until it's really good and dry and not tacky anymore. And then when you can close it and just like set heavy objects on top of it, it should flatten back out. At least that's what I hear. I'm not 100% certain, but we'll see, I suppose, because mine's pretty wrinkled right now. And I honestly don't mind that. It doesn't bother me much. So I'll still color the page behind it even so. I don't care. It can be a little wrinkled. I'm not real thrilled with this paint, guys. It's really runny. And the black was so nice and thick and dark and opaque, and this is just not. Oh, I got over the edge a little bit. But like he said, we're going to come back over this with pencil anyway, so if we get over the edge a little bit, oh well. I'm going to hope my lighter blue is better than this. This is pretty stinking runny. Which one is this? The English Navy? I'm going to give it a shake. Again, maybe I didn't shake it very good. And put another drop in my palette and see. If maybe that helps. Alright, you guys aren't going to be able to see me very well over here, but I'm coming over to this side now to put some darker blue in. Well, I think it just needed to be shaken a little harder as far as the consistency is concerned, because it does seem to be a little thicker now, but it is still pretty transparent. So what we'll do, well, that just pretty much means that I'm not going to be able to finish this while I'm talking to you guys tonight, because it's going to take more time than I have for it to dry. But we'll come back to it. Oh, I got into my circle. Well, that's okay. I don't care. I only got into it just a little tiny bit, so. So now we want to go in this little black cloud that we made here. Not really a cloud, it's just a splotch, a black sky splotch. Excuse me, guys. I'm starting to finally get over whatever this is that I have. Finally, I've had it for so long that I was really starting to think I was never going to be well again. But it is starting to go away, so that is a plus. I'm trying to move things so you guys can see. It's going to be a little sideways, but at least you can see it now. I don't think I've ever seen acrylic paint so translucent like this. Usually it's a lot darker. Usually it's like the black. It's, you know, you can't see through it once it's on the page. So I'm hoping that when I come back and revisit this and put on another coat, that we'll get that the same effect that we have out of this black from the blue. But I just don't know, so. There's going to be just a smidge that you guys can't see over here. I'm getting in the edge of the book. I'm trying to do so in one direction so I don't accidentally force paint under the page and onto the other page. if that makes sense. Yes, I'm back to painting with this little tiny brush, so it's taking me longer. Because the other brush was like making me so angry. I was getting pissed. Just, the brush strokes on this are worse, but I mean, what are you gonna do? I'm hoping almost that this is going to act like a primer for when I come back in with my second coat. So it's going to hide like the brush strokes and whatnot. I'm trying to make some inconsistencies here. I don't want it to be a completely straight line over here too. I know you guys can't see, but I'm pretty much doing the same. Just bringing some blue down so it's not a perfectly straight line. And I'll do the same on this side also. Well, guys, if anybody has any recommendations for affordable paintbrushes that have pretty decent bristles that aren't going to fall out on me the first time I use them, I would be stoked to hear them. They're going to have to be affordable at this point because I have spent so much money on art crap that I can't for a while. I could probably pass the paintbrushes off as an absolute necessity, but they're still going to have to be affordable. So if you guys have any recommendations, I would be more than happy to hear those. I got the decent set that I have at Hobby Lobby with a 40% off coupon. And I only got the little ones. They didn't have any of the bigger ones. So I was kind of disappointed. And they're not bad brushes. But like I said, I need some... I have plenty of smaller brushes. I need like some bigger ones that I could use to put acrylic on backgrounds, or like, you know, a big watercolor wash or something. All right. Let's dip this blue down so it's not 100% even. Blue, which is going to be the Apple Barrel Admiral Blue. I'm cleaning my brush. And I wanted to put the lighter blue down closer to the town because if you've ever, you know, you've looked at over a city at night and you notice that the sky's darker the higher you go, but closer to the city it's lighter because of the lights and whatnot. I don't see any lights in this city, but we're going to assume that there are some. All right. And now for the lightest. And we're going to start at this edge that you guys can't see. And I'm just kind of working my way around the hills slowly. This one's kind of thin too. It's not quite as transparent as the other blue, but it's definitely not like the black. I'm gonna have to keep that in mind and maybe see if I can't find a better acrylic paint. Does anybody use maybe Hobby Lobby's acrylic paint? Is it any better? How's the quality on that? You gotta remember, I'm not looking to create masterpieces. This is just to paint coloring book pages with. So as long as it's transparent and it goes on evenly, I'm pretty happy with it. or not, as long as it's not transparent and it goes on evenly. And I realize that this probably looks terrible right now, and that's okay. That's just fine. This is just the first coat with some not so good paint. So when we come back in after it dries with another coat, it's gonna be a lot better. If I had an art store that was open right now at 7:31 p.m. on a Sunday in my little bitty town, I would go. But the nearest one is, the nearest art store to me is going to be Hobby Lobby, and they're closed on Sundays. My Walmart has a pretty decent craft supply section, and they even have like a little drawing section. So they sell some decent sketchbooks and, you know, graphite pencils and blending stumps and whatnot, odorless mineral spirits. But some of the, like, basic stuff they don't have. So I very seriously doubt they're going to have paintbrushes that are any better than the ones I have in my hand right now, which makes me sad. Or if I thought that they had them, I would go to Walmart and I would buy some paintbrushes and I would turn this camera off and I would come back with my better paintbrushes and we would go to town. Can't get that paint down that little, there we go. Trying to get it down in this little dip and cover up all the white space that I possibly can. But it is being contrary and does not want to cooperate with me at all. I do have my round brush also that I got out, but actually I think I prefer this little flat one. Seems to be working pretty darn well. So after watching this, are any of you guys going to get brave and go get some acrylic paint and put acrylic paint on your coloring book pages? Or are there any of you who already do that maybe have some pointers for me? Because obviously I don't. Obviously this isn't something I do often. Like I said, I looked at this page and thought, holy cow, that's a lot of background. So I got out the acrylics. Alright, so there's my base coat for this page down. Now we gotta finish this page, which is going to be the really stinking fun one. Oh, I gotta get some more black up there. I missed a spot with the black on the very edge up there. Can you see it? Right here. There. I missed it. Oh, well. Okay, so... Oh, that's the wrong blue. Today's not my day. I'm brain dead today. There's acrylic all over my foam board. I think this is why I don't paint. Because I can't do it without making a giant disaster. Okay. Let's get the right blue this time. And bring it over on this side. Can you guys tell I'm like nervous as all get out? Those little notches cut out of the castle wall there. Okay. I may get the round brush. I don't know. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to get in those little bitty nooks and crannies. I'll figure it out in a little bit. We're going to bring some of this up here. Now see where I put that over the paint? You probably can because it's shiny and wet and the light's shining on it, but it's a lot darker there where it's going over the other blue, so it's definitely making it not quite as transparent, which is good news. It's good news for me. It's possible to do this. You just have to be like crazy careful with your brush, which is not something I'm good at doing, obviously. I think the way I see it is that if I'm making a giant disaster of my workspace and I have like literally I have acrylic paint everywhere right now, this is not going to be the easiest thing for me to do. It's not the easiest thing for me to do to be neat with anything. I made fried chicken for supper tonight and it literally looked like a flour hurricane went through my kitchen. It was crazy. Nothing a bottle of Lysol kitchen cleaner and some towels couldn't fix, fortunately, but it was not a quick and easy cleanup, which is why I rarely make fried chicken anymore, because holy cow, who's got time to clean all that mess up? Not me. I've got pages to color. Okay, now let me think and figure out the best way to get down beside the duck who's like supposedly a major player in all the romantic country stories, and how to get down those little nooks and crannies with the acrylic. I may go with a tiny flat brush instead of the round one. In just a second, I'll go look and see, or I'll dig in my paintbrush cup that I have over here and see what I have that I can get down in there safely. My water's turned black. Completely and totally black. Well, that's not much smaller than the one I already had, I don't think. Nope. I have some tiny little brushes. I think one of these will probably be the best. These are both a size 10, so I have two of the same one. Let me see if I can't make these work. Put it in some water first. Little bitty detail brush. Now, apparently, if you're a normal person and you have control over your hands, that's exactly what these brushes are supposed to do. I'm not a normal person and my hands shake because I live on caffeine, so this is probably not going to work as well for me as it would work for someone else. Again, I am going to color this castle with colored pencil, so if I do happen to get somewhere I don't want it to go, I can just color over it. And I am just a little bit going into the castle. But not too bad. This is going to be the really fun part. Little groove and the bottom of the duck. I'm aware you guys can't see what I'm doing. I'm sorry. It's so meticulous and I'm trying to get the best possible control. Well, by golly. I was 100% convinced I was going to cover that duck up completely. But I did not. I did not. Wow, this is so tedious. So tedious. But it works. This little brush is doing its job. This is one of the ones I picked up at Hobby Lobby. The detailing brushes. And the bristles aren't falling out. So I'm this close to being over my anger with my other set of brushes. But I'm not over it. Like, I still feel some resentment. I'm over the obscene gesture part of it. Like, I don't feel like flipping them off anymore. I would still like to go throw them in a campfire and sing Kumbaya. That's just me. Yeah, so I don't paint anything ever with anything. I have some watercolors that I don't use. I use watercolor pencils from time to time. I do use those because those feel safe. To me, it's not any different than using a colored pencil, really. And then when you're done, you just hit it with water in a careful, controlled manner. That's pretty much it. But I've decided over the last few months, you know, and my boyfriend, he's like pretty supportive of what I do, and I show him what I'm working on all the time, and he's pretty supportive of it. And I've been talking to him and telling him that, you know, I'm really interested in getting into some other types of mediums and paints and watercolors and whatnot. And he's really supportive of that, so I'm excited. Alright, I've missed a couple little places, so I'm going to go back and get those real quick with the black matte acrylic. These detail brushes. Can I paint this whole thing with the detail brushes? I like these. Oh, snap. This is at the very edge of my page, this little section that I missed, so I have to tuck my, and I missed spots there too. What am I doing? I think I'm like partially blind and I don't know it yet. I do have an eye doctor appointment coming soon, so we may have to rectify this situation. Okay, now I have all the little white spots covered in the black. So the black is, for the most part, I noticed a little spots over here. Or I may have scratched it or something, but no biggie. The black is for the most part finished. Now, something that's cool about acrylic is, if you can tell, like, you watched me putting this on and it was like all shiny. Now it's not so much shiny anymore. Now it's more matte, and my page is significantly wrinkled. Can you see that? It's wrinkled pretty good. I'm not too concerned about that, because over time, after I finish coloring this image, it's gonna go back into shape. It'll take a while, and I'll have to like leave it weighed down, but it will eventually go back down into shape. Alright guys, excuse me for a minute, because I have to have a drink. I've been talking your faces off for almost an hour, and I'm thirsty. Who wants to guess what I'm drinking? Were you right? This stuff is good, guys. This is a diet soda that tastes more like it's like parent soda. It's sugary soda than any other. And I drink so much soda that I can't drink regular soda because it would probably kill me. I'd probably be diabetic by now. So I drink Coke Zero. Alright, so at this point, excuse me, I'm going to stop the video for now, right now. I'm going to let this dry completely. I'm going to clean my brushes, and then I'm going to clean my palette off. Actually, I'm not going to clean my palette because I need paints. I'm going to clean my brushes out, get some fresh water, and I'm going to come back and I'm going to put a second coat over this, but I am going to let it sit for a good half hour or so to make sure that it's good and dry. And I do want you guys to see this like effect that I get over here with this. See how it kind of like fades off into the black? It goes from this blue here and it fades off into the black. That's what I want, because it makes it look more like a natural sky. Now when Frances did it, Coloring Frances, and find her on YouTube. She is adorable. This girl is cute as a stinking button. She tells the absolute best stories during her coloring chats. I freaking love her. When she did it, she kind of blocked her colors off a little bit more, and her colors stood out from each other. So she used black like I did, but she used like brighter blues. So you could really see it stand out. I didn't want that. I mean, I like the way hers looked, but I wanted mine to be a little different. My bright colors are going to come from down here. So all my bright colors are going to be down here, and this is going to be like cool and dark to set it off, to really make these colors down here pop. Now when she did it, she didn't get this effect. She kind of blocked hers in, and then she went in with colored pencil that was the same shade as her lighter paint, or her blue paint, and kind of like feathered it up into the black. Hers looked fabulous. So if you guys want to see this being done another way, definitely go check out Frances. Frances is the bomb. If I remember, I will put Frances' link in the description. If I forget when you guys are watching this, you notice I've forgotten Frances' link, leave a comment, and I'll go back and edit the description and put it in there. I'm so bad about forgetting things, guys. Okay, so I'm pausing the video right here. I'm going to go get my hands cleaned up and my brushes cleaned up and some fresh water, and I will be back soon. Haha guys, it happened again. My phone shut off. It stopped recording. It's telling me that I am out of space on my SD card. I need to get a bigger SD card also. Trying to record anything more than 45 minutes of video at once is proving to be impossible, which I figured, you know, with 16 gigs it would be plenty, but I'm trying to make you guys high definition videos to make things clear, so I guess I'm going to need more space. I will have to make that happen soon. My apologies. This is supposed to be our Sunday Funday color and chat. Whether or not that actually happens remains to be seen. I don't know if this is going to go up in time. It may not go up until technically Monday, because it takes me ages to edit, save, upload, all that jazz. I'm actually enjoying myself now. Now that I have a good brush, I'm enjoying myself with this process. This is going to look really nice. I'm really, really excited. The thing about acrylic paint too is that it really doesn't take much. Like these bottles of acrylic paint that I have, I'll probably have for, even if I put acrylic paint in every single background, it would probably last me for months. Somebody's outside revving their engine as loud as humanly possible, and my window's open. The YouTube gods are not with me today. That's just all there is to it. So you're going to hear somebody's muscle car revving, more than likely. And I do apologize. I have a neighbor who, and the only reason that I know anything about this person is because he's a friend of mine's brother, I believe. And he has no driver's license. He lost his driver's license for some reason. I can't remember what. But so he can't drive. So instead of driving, he'll go out in the driveway and sit in the car and rev the engine. And he'll just go out and rev the engine for like an hour. I kind of feel bad for the guy, to be honest. It's like, man, just let the dude drive the car or something. Seriously, the engine revving has to stop. Okay. I'm turning the book upside down. I apologize. I have to be able to see what's happening. And I want to be able to get it in the frame for you too, so. This is the page that was really, really bad. I shook the paint bottle up some after I did this section, and it was a little bit better. So here comes this really super loud car, guys. Oh, the YouTube gods are not with me today. And he'll probably go drive around the block like 5 times just to try to annoy me. I mean, I like fast cars. I like muscle cars. I like classic cars, really. I like older ones. But I don't really take any joy in sitting in my driveway and revving my car constantly. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I'm not trying to be cool or anything. I drive a 4-door sedan. I got 3 kids that I haul around. So, you know, sports cars aren't really right for my little family. Maybe. And everybody always makes fun of people, you know, when they're like in their late 50s and early 60s and they're going out and buying, you know, like convertibles and Corvettes. It's not because they're having a midlife crisis. It's not that at all. It's because they wanted those cars like the whole time their children were growing up and they knew better. Because those cars, you know, those are not family-friendly cars. So it doesn't really make any sense to have them. So when your kids move out, you know, fair game. Go get your convertible. Go get your Corvette. Go get your whatever. It's not midlife crisis. It's, you know, I've been waiting for years and now I can finally have something other than a minivan. I'm not a minivan mom. I can't drive a minivan. I'm short. I'm like literally 5 feet tall. So I can't. It's hard for me to drive like a bigger car anyway. So, yeah. I can't really do the minivan. I'm afraid I'd run something over with it. It's too big. Well, I think after this coat of paint, what I'm going to do is I'm going to let my book dry again, likely overnight. I'm going to let it dry until it's like completely dry. Then I'm going to put a sheet of my Canson mixed media. Wow, Erin. Mixed media paper between the sheets, close it, and put something nice and heavy on it so that hopefully it'll take care of some of the buckling that we're getting here. And it will take care of some of it. As the paper dries, it'll unbuckle a little bit. It's worse when it's wet, so. I don't have anything on this other side, so we're going to say a little prayer that I don't get. I did get a little bit of paint on that page. Darn it. Oh, well, it's not the end of the world. I'm starting to see the value in things like practice books and like final project books. So, you know, the way I see it is if I ruin a page in this book, that's okay. I'll go and color some of the pages that I didn't ruin somehow. And then when I'm ready, I'll buy another one. And I will not experiment in it. I will do what I know works. And I'll use the color combinations that I wish I would have used in the first place. I'm sure you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm not taking it all the way to the edge, in case you're curious as to what I'm doing here. I'm getting it close to the edge, but not all the way to the edge. Because this is where the white of the paper was really showing through the worst. So I'm trying to get a nice, thick, even coat of the paint. I'm starting to think that no matter how hard I try over here, it just may not work out well. Because I still see streaks. What I may end up doing is going around this circle in pencil too, because I'm struggling to get an even coat of paint around it that looks nice. So I may get my stencil that I use, my ball jar lid, back out and trace around it with a colored pencil. Okay, so there's that color. I'm calling that done. And then I have my flat brush that I'm going to use for the blue, the other blue. It's like an angled flat brush. I'm hoping it's going to make it easier for me to get into these little nooks and crannies, because my other brushes are sitting in paint thinner right now because some of the acrylic paint dried on them, which is always a terrible thing to happen. I was too slow. So I soaked them in hot water and Dawn. I'm trying to scrub it out, and then that didn't work. So then I put some paint thinner in a jar, and the tips of them are soaking in paint thinner to see if that will do the trick. I'm out of Coke Zero. I'm very unhappy about that. So I do have to go out again later this evening. So I will make sure that that is... Oh, I got on my mountain. Darn it. Oh well. Or my hill, I guess it is. Hopefully it won't be too noticeable when I finish the painting part of this. That's pretty good coverage. So we're going to turn it and do this side. Actually, it's not pretty good coverage. I still have a spot left. I know you can't see it and it's out of frame. I'm very sorry, but it'll only take a second. There's just a little spot where it was still kind of smeary. So I'm trying to fill that in. There we go. Okay, now off to this side. And then this side. Now my detail brush, let me get down in those little nooks and crannies, pretty thick, so I don't think I'm going to attempt to get back down in there again. I think that would be pressing my luck pretty hard, because I did pretty good the first time. So I'm really not interested in trying to screw it up or anything like that. I'm going to get as close to the clock tower as humanly possible, though, without killing anything. I'm going to bring this blue up a little bit, actually, too. So when this dries, bear in mind that this is not a finished project as soon as it's dry, because at that point, I'm going to go back in with colored pencil and likely gel pen or something and add some more stuff. I'm going to do the stars that I covered up. We're going to kind of add those in with colored pencil. I'm going to add like a little bit of glue. I'm going to add some glue around, no, I'm going to add some glow around the moon to make it look prettier, more whimsical, that kind of thing. All right. At this point, I'm calling the acrylic portion of this. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm going to get up here. We're going to bring this light blue up. And I'm going to get it. Darn it. Forgot my paper again. It's alright. It's just a tiny, tiny little sliver, and I can knock that off. So when I do colored pencil, it'll just go right over that tiny little spot. So there we go. There. That's what I wanted. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean my palette and my brushes that I used, which is pretty well every halfway decent paintbrush that I own. I'm going to let this dry overnight, because once it's dry, you'll be able to see the colors better than what you can see them now. Right now, all you're seeing is like shiny wrinkliness, and I'm aware of that. But you can probably see some variation in the color in there, and it looks a whole stinking lot different than it did when I got started, which is what I wanted. So the next part of this, or like the end part of this, is I'm going to go in and add some stars and whatnot. Around the clock tower here, there's like some stroke lines that I just can't seem to work out. I may leave it. I'm going to see how bad it looks once it's dry, and I may just not worry about it and leave it there. Or I may actually come back in yet again before I start going over this with colored pencil and try to clean that up just a little bit before I continue. But overall, this is the effect that I was going for, guys. I hope you enjoyed this color and chat. I know that it turned into like more of a watch me do something and like semi sort of tutorial. I'm telling you how to use acrylic paint than a color and chat, but you know, this is what I've been wanting to do, and I haven't had a chance to do it because obviously it takes forever to paint a background in acrylic. But it's done now, and I'm pleased with it, and now I'm going to let it dry. Alright guys, you'll see this again. I'll make some more videos when I'm working on this because I'm pretty excited about it. I'll show you the finished products and kind of show you how I do the color pencil over the top. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please make sure that you do. I finally found the time. I think I've got a schedule worked out where I can put out content pretty regularly now. So we're looking at videos, if not daily, like at least every other day, so that, sorry, I dropped my paintbrush on the floor, so that, you know, I feel like I'm always here talking to you guys, and, you know, I feel like we've been getting to know each other a little bit more, the guys who are in my Facebook group. If you go to Simple Art for Adults /groups/Facebook, you'll find my Facebook group, and we get pretty chatty in there, and it gets pretty funny sometimes. So if that's something that you're interested in doing, feel free to join the group as well. Subscribe, hit the like button if you like this video, because honestly that helps the channel more than anything, just hitting that like button. If you want to be notified when I do something else, hit that little bell once you subscribe, and it'll give you notifications when I've uploaded something new. Guys, that's all I have for you today. I do want to thank every single member of my coloring family for joining me tonight. I am off to go have a nice steaming hot cup of coffee and watch my paint dry. Literally. Thanks, guys. Good night.